Well, New South Wales Police say they're confident in making another arrest in relation to an anti-Semitic attack on a Sydney synagogue, but pressure is mounting to bring the violence to an end. Global terrorism expert Greg Barton joins us in the studio now. Greg, also some missing details here on what's going on in terms of these high-level investigations to get to the bottom of who is behind or which groups could be behind this string of attacks.
That's right, Bridge. Lots of missing details in terms of police announcements, which is understandable. This is an ongoing operation. So I think we have to assume whatever police say, whatever AFP Commissioner Crenshaw says, it's done deliberately to help operations and not to hinder operations. So tantalisingly, we've got some suggestions of possible foreign actors and certainly paid criminal actors in some cases, but nothing more than that. So that's kind of frustrating, but it's understandable. It's ongoing operations.
You're going to be reluctant to speculate, but when you hear a police officer as senior as that come out and say, we suspect maybe foreign entities might be involved in some way, you immediately begin thinking of who those foreign entities could be or why. Do we have any clues?
We have some clues, and this is speculation, but we haven't had a suggestion that it's an international transnational terror group. Now, it could be, but there's no suggestion, and it would be strange. That doesn't happen very often. Iran historically has used Hezbollah, but that's really a proxy. That's a possibility in this case. Iran has an axe to grind, and this is sort of low-hanging fruit, a cheap way of getting traction, messing with Western democracies. But the other big state actor that has a very recent and strong track record of interfering in Western democracy, undermining confidence, is Russia. So, you know, that's at the top of a very short list. There are other very powerful states with powerful intelligence agencies who do foreign interference, and everyone does intelligence, and foreign interference is part of that. America, through the CIA, has been involved in discrediting regimes. But at the moment, you know, I don't think there's any reason for other large states to want to mess with Australian democracy. Russia and Iran, though, stand out as candidates who do have form and motivation.
And so authorities will be wanting to get to the bottom of the motivations here. As you said, Russia's been involved in alleged activity to disrupt other governments and other states. There's also long-standing anti-Semitism in the community, and that's a problem around the world right now, isn't it, Greg? So
that's right. I think we have to face up to the fact we have a problem, and a rising problem with anti-Semitism, also a rising problem with Islamophobia.
That's right.
As the envoy on Islamophobia has been speaking out, Aftaf Malik. We have problems with racism in Australia. We have, you know, deep historical issues. We know about that. It's something we're reluctant to face up to, but that's a conversation we need to be having. So whatever might be happening with foreign actors, that doesn't sort of let us off the hook. On the flip side, though, is that we've had weekly protests in support of concerns for what's happening in Gaza and beyond, and police have had good relations with protest organisers. They've been civil and controlled for the most part. There's always going to be a ratbag fringe element. We shouldn't risk the good work that's been done with social cohesion by sort of broadly accusing anyone whose views we don't agree with well, you know, being Islamophobic or anti-Semitic. So it's a kind of a delicate balancing act, but we have to be honest about the fact we've got a problem, and a part of the problem may be foreign actors, but that will only be a part.
So interesting, Greg, and we're hoping we're going to get more details.
Yeah, I just was curious before we let you go. Ceasefire's now happened in the Middle East. Of course, many people argue there should be a pretty big distinction about what happens in Australia and what's happening in the Middle East anyway. But do you think that will help calm tensions in the maybe medium term?
It has the potential to, James, but it depends how it plays out. So this is a three-stage peace process. The first stage has begun. Let's see how we go. You know, at day 16, there's going to be negotiations about stage 2. We've already got Prime Minister Netanyahu saying, you know, he's prepared to go back to war. A lot hangs, frankly, on the Trump administration. We know that Biden, whatever his deep convictions, was unable to control what was happening with Israel's actions in Gaza. Trump, you know, you would think is more closely aligned with the Netanyahu government, which is a, you know, fairly extreme coalition at the moment, but he's an unpredictable factor. So he probably does deserve some credit because of that unpredictability in bringing this first stage forward. But whether he commits, his administration, I should say, because it's, you know, it'll be other people working with his approval. If they commit to holding Israel to account for stage 2 and 3, stage 3 being the rebuilding, then it could be wonderful. But you'd have to be a strong optimist, and I am a strong optimist. I certainly believe it's possible, but you have to also accept the fact that this thing could fall over in a terrible fashion, and that would have repercussions around the world, including in Australia, and we have to face that.